thing that we're talking about, scattered storms, and this is what we're tracking right now. You can see right along, basically, I mentioned Highway 82 into Pickens County, and for a lot of us, you're probably saying, yeah, what storm, right? I mean, East Alabama, Anniston, Talladega, even Birmingham area to Alabaster, we really haven't seen much, but later on tonight, that window, that threat chance is going to move in our direction here, but storms are actually getting closer to Tuscaloosa. No active warnings at this time for the first time with some of this stormy weather, so that's a good sign, but there's some lightning in here. It's still happening. You can see numerous lightning strikes, a lot of those strikes too also coming from some of those storms at the top of the screen, but we do have some rain around Coleman. You may be hearing some rumbles around Vinemont, and we're tracking a couple storms. Actually, might be some small hail with this one around Winfield. Another storm this between Hubbardville and Fayette, and that's tracking into Walker County. We've already had some earlier storms move through this area, so some new development happening there, and quite a bit of lightning with this one storm, a very strong wind that's moving towards Gordo. And I mentioned this earlier. I had someone ask me on Facebook, said, Wes, what is a special weather statement? Because you probably see those on the screen from time to time. Well, this time of the year especially, you'll see strong storm advisories issued by the National Weather Service, and that's a level below severe thunderstorm warnings, just to let you know that there could certainly be some impacts here, some lightning, maybe some hail producers and some gusty winds up to 40 miles per hour, just not to that extreme severe level. But when we reach that level, that's when you'll see the severe thunderstorm warning. So it's just to notify you, storms approaching, some strong storms, and that's what we're seeing right now. If you do have notice that strong storm advisory there with these cells right around Reform and also around Gordo. Also some heavy rain around Jasper, moving to the north. Been keeping a watch on a cell here. It hasn't really gone to that next level, but still some nice old downpour, some rain happening there from Curry back in towards Jasper. Threat window is mostly this evening. Now after midnight, some of this may carry over until around 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, far eastern areas, but this will settle down fairly quickly later on tonight. And as Lauren noted, even now it looks like some of those warnings have backed off across West Alabama, but that's the main concern and why we have called a first alert weather day, is for that risk of large hail and some gusty winds with some of these storms that develop for this evening. But again, we stay in this pattern as we move ahead into tomorrow and move ahead into the weekend. We're going to be talking about some more rain coming back. We'll get into those chances coming up. But now's a great time to download the WBRC First Alert weather app. As I always say, don't wait on the warning. Make sure you get the First Alert with the First Alert weather team. Just go to your app store. You can download that for free and get real-time updates on where storms are no matter where you are in the country. And this thing also gives you lightning alerts. I actually received one last night, or a couple nights ago when we had the overnight rain. Said lightning will be within your vicinity, within or is within so many miles of your location. So you get that proximity alert, which is a great tool this time of year. But one of the big stories right now, weather-wise, upper level low. It's one of the big factors that we've been telling you about impacting our weather forecast. And here with the Weather 101, meteorologist Lauren Linehan.
Hey Wes, yeah, so we keep talking about this upper level area of low pressure. A lot of times when we talk about low pressure, we're talking about one that develops at the surface. So you can have one that develops at the surface, but these ones in particular that develop in the upper levels of the atmosphere, we're talking 18,000 feet plus, they can be notoriously tricky to forecast. It's tough for us meteorologists to get a hold on them, and it's also tough for our weather models to get a hold on them. So oftentimes when we talk about an upper level low, basically it's an area of low pressure that gets cut off from the jet stream. And so what happens is it just kind of spins in one area for a while. And so that's what we're going to see happen as we get into the weekend and early next week. This is showing Monday, showing that upper level low basically right overhead, just off to our northwest. And so oftentimes if you are on the south and east side of this upper level low, you can get some very wet weather. And so that's what we're expecting to see, because basically what this allows, it puts more lift into the atmosphere. You have more lift in the atmosphere. That means you have rising air. And so eventually that air can rise to a certain point and it can cool and condense and form clouds. So oftentimes when you have an upper level low, it does a number of things. It can make it cloudier, and oftentimes those clouds can put a big damper on temperatures. You just aren't going to get as hot typically. That's why we're not really looking looking at a sultry forecast going into the weekend. But also it can allow, when you have rising air, clouds, storms can develop. So you can see kind of an unsettled wet pattern, especially if it just sits there and spins for days on end and just doesn't really move along. It can cause there to be more rain than you would typically see. But that's the science behind an upper level low. Now, as we continue to talk about that potential for a few severe storms today, we now take you across the country to Arizona, where they're preparing for monsoon season. Phoenix fire and police crews are training for water rescues. Fox's Irene Snyder has more.
Monsoon season is almost here, and it's always good to be prepared. The Phoenix Fire Department and Police Department running through its annual swift water rescue training with the Central Arizona Project Canal.
We've had a partnership training with them for a couple decades now. It's a really unique opportunity for us to be able to simulate vehicles or other potential rescue scenarios in a water environment. And again, we're super grateful to them for allowing us to do this year after year.
The police department's Firebird 10 helicopter used as a part of the rescue.
This is a training that we've been doing annually for a couple decades now, right in this location. We always train at a very high level. This is not something we have to do every time we get a water rescue, but there are times where we have to do it, and our guys are more than prepared for it.
They have people out on the water simulating an active water rescue. A fire department member sent out to help.
We're going to actually insert a rescuer with a piece of equipment called a cinch collar. That collar is used to go over the victim, cinches up around their chest and torso area, and then we lift our rescuer and our victim up with the hoist, and we're going to set them right down on the canal right behind us.
The crews will always work to be prepared, but they also have a message to the public heading into monsoon season. Do not underestimate the water.
It only takes about 6 inches of water to wash a vehicle off of a roadway, so water is deceivingly powerful and very dangerous.
Irene Snyder, Fox 10 News.
All right, 30 seconds. We continue to track those strong to severe storms. Plus, we bring you the weather extra on how you can prepare for the Atlantic hurricane season in just a few short weeks. We'll be right back. All right, we got some video from Highway 82. This was in the Starkville area, and you can see on the side of the roadways, this was over near West Point, Mississippi. That is hail that accumulated. Look at it on the side of the road. You can see some of the steam fog off of that. Mitchell Keys, one of our former weather interns and now meteorologist, shared this from social media a few moments ago, but that's the same storm that moved over into Pickens County, but you can see it was cleared off the roadways, but that is a lot of ice from those storms there. But that's what we're seeing with some of these thunderstorms moving through West Alabama. So we go in for a close-up right now where we have this storm that's happening into Pickens County. Let me show you here. There's Jasper. First off, let's go back to right now, not seeing a warning for Pickens County, but we are still seeing some intense lightning. There's still probably going to be some hail with this south of Gordo. We go over to our threat indicator, and there you go. Yeah, still seeing the possibility of some large hail with this storm. That's moving towards Kirk, Gordo, and you can see over in Tuscaloosa there's Buell, Elrod, Coker, those areas. So this is one of the stronger storms at the moment. It's one of the reasons I'm zooming in on this. But a lot of these storms at the moment are still below severe levels and seeing some rain. Looks like maybe some leftover showers starting to push into Etowah County. But all this will transition to the east. This is it for tonight. We'll see some more development as we get into the weekend, and that's coming up in First Alert Weather. But not only is it Air Quality Awareness Week, it is Hurricane Preparedness Week, and as we get ready to start the Atlantic hurricane season on June the 1st, this week highlights all the ways that you can be prepared and not scared. This week highlights these targets: know your risk, water and wind, prepare before hurricane season, understand forecast information, get moving when a storm threatens, and stay protected during storms. Use caution after storms and take action. The hurricane season starts June the 1st, and for us, yes, we can have inland impacts. I never will forget Hurricane Rita when it made landfall days later. What was left of it, just a cluster of storms, and we had 11 tornadoes in one county alone. I mean, we can have big time impacts from tornadoes to damaging winds. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan joins us now, and Lauren, looks like it is going to be an active season coming up, and actually the Pacific season starts a bit sooner.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, we've got hurricane season on the horizon, but right now we do have a first alert weather day for that threat for storms tonight. So we're going to do a little storm tracking for you and zoom into these spots that we are seeing some storms. Now, as Wes was just mentioning, right now, none of these are severe, so that's good news. But any of these storms could turn severe at one time. We were talking about how the fact that we're getting a little closer to sunset, that will help these storms to lose their momentum and be more robust. So this one storm in particular that we have been tracking over in Pickens County, I would say this one is kind of the main storm right now that could be producing some hail, possibly some heavy downpours and some cloud to ground lightning. This particular storm is producing almost 70 lightning strikes. So you see it's moving generally eastward at about 20 miles per hour, and we could be seeing 1-inch hail with this. So that's almost like quarter size hail. But where you're seeing the pinks and that almost like black shade showing up there, that could be indicating places where we're seeing hail. So if we turn on our triple threat product here, that can help us identify whether we're looking at hail or potentially rotation. So no rotation with these storms, but it is picking up on that possibility just to the east of Carrollton that this could be producing some hail, and this is moving towards areas like Fairview, Gordo, over into Ecola and Lubbock. So that is the one storm in Pickens County, but there's still several that we're watching across our area. As we go a little bit farther to the north, we have a couple of little thunder showers that are popping up near Fayette. You can see this one thunderstorm that is pushing east-northeast towards Fowler's Crossroads, and then this one thunder shower near Jasper and Boldo that could be moving towards Wilburn and Arkadelphia here shortly. So if you haven't seen any storms yet, I know it's been pretty quiet in East Alabama so far. These storms will be eventually heading your way. You can see one thunderstorm that's moving through Coleman County. As we put this on a loop here over the next 2 hours, and Wes and I have been noting this is off a little bit. I think these storms are moving faster than this is suggesting, but it gives us a general idea of the direction this activity is moving. So could be moving into Jefferson County, Etowah County, and possibly into Etowah County and up into Blount County, Tuscaloosa County within the next 2 hours. But this all comes as NOAA is discontinuing the $1 billion weather and climate disasters database. It will be archived, but will no longer be updated beyond 2024. They will also be ending other services due to significant staffing reductions. The database has been tracking the cost of natural disasters since 1980. Well, don't go anywhere. We continue following those strong to severe storms and talking about how our changing climate can impact air quality right after the break.
It is time to check on this weather, and we are tracking some showers and storms. The good news is most of these showers to the north, you can see they have weakened, these little storms that had popped up, but it's still 80 in Birmingham, 81 in Alabaster, and model data is telling us that we still could see some development in here as this moves further south and east tonight. So that severe thunderstorm watch goes until 10 o'clock tonight. The strongest storm at the moment is over into Pickens County. We're going to continue with that first alert weather day, mostly for the threat of severe storms, gusty winds. Not every location is going to see a lot of rain tonight. That's one thing I do want to stress. This is still scattered storms that we're talking about, but where we do see some of these storms, they can grow quite intense for tonight. So it's 64 in Coleman. Look at that current temperature. So it has dropped quite a bit with that storm in the vicinity. So model data, as you can see through 10 o'clock tonight, still picking up on the possibility of some rumbles, some development here through the evening. That moves on through, and then we take it to tomorrow. Most of the day looks dry until tomorrow night, and that's when rain starts to lift in from the south by Saturday morning. This is that upper low that we were talking about. A lot of cold air aloft, and it's just going to sit out there and spin and draw all those clouds and the moisture our way. And with these upper lows, you tend to have what's called dynamic cooling, and that can pull the temperatures down. So there's a chance we could see some 60s and maybe even a few upper 50s by Saturday afternoon. It's going to be a cool day, and this may actually be the last day with these kind of temperatures we see for a while. So I know there's a lot of talk about the rain, but I want to make sure you have the first alert to know there could be a chill in the air for some of us on Saturday. But then we go into Sunday, and there's some more rain that could wrap in, but just notice it's a steady flow, some showers at times. Just plan for some rain delays. It won't be a total washout this weekend, but the overall trend here, overcast, kind of dreary and unsettled weather at times, and there could be a few thunderstorms as well. Even some of the showers in this kind of setup, I have seen those even produce some small hail. So that's the thing. A lot of cold air aloft with this system. As you can see, it kind of spins away, and that is Saturday, and that's going to continue also into Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. It's probably going to be around the middle of next week before we finally get this out here, but we still anticipate temperatures next week as the rain chances back off. Highs reaching into the upper 80s, close to 90 degrees towards the end of next week, trending drier. But you can see that heat, it's coming. So this weekend, we lowered that temperature to 67 on Saturday, so a little bit cooler there. But it does look like the heat will build into next week. But today, thankfully, the storms did hold off for a visit to Tuscaloosa. And I just want to give a big shout out to the West Alabama Area Agency on Aging. And what a crowd there today for the annual Senior Day. And seniors from all around West Alabama, we were grooving. As you can see there, Lauren, we had a good time today. Forkland to Pickens County to Lamar County, they do this event every year, give away prizes, have activities, lunch, and it's just such a fun event and always a fun time hanging out there. This was at the Bryant Conference Center on the University of Alabama campus today, and just a large crowd there and lots of fun. And Lauren, we miss you there today. Now, you're going to have to go next year. We had a good time.
I will. We'll bring the whole First Alert weather team to get up in there and get down with them. It looks like a lot of fun. And hey, if you like warm weather, you're definitely going to be getting down with this forecast. As we look ahead 8 to 14 days from now, this is the temperature outlook from May 16th to May 22nd. So getting later in the month, it does look like we could be seeing above average temperatures across central Alabama and really a good portion of the southeast. Now, with that, there is a question, all right, could we be seeing some active weather too? Well, as it looks right now, over the next 2 weeks from now, that best chance to see some more active weather, maybe above average precipitation, would be across northwest Alabama. So areas north and west of that I-20-59 corridor. And as we get into May, oftentimes the type of setups we'll see, Wes was mentioning an upper level low. Sometimes you can get these northwest flow patterns as well, where these clusters of storms come in. So let's see what we're working with. So this is next Friday, May 16th, and you see what almost looks like this mountain of air over the Gulf. That is a ridge of high pressure. And so that high pressure ridge, when you have those set up, that often leads to above average temperatures. And sometimes it'll put a lid on the atmosphere, but every now and then you can get these disturbances in the flow that come in from that westerly flow higher up in the atmosphere, and that can sometimes lead to the potential for a few showers and storms. And that's what we're seeing potentially next Saturday. Hope no one's getting married next Saturday, because that wouldn't be great, would it, to have storms around. But as we get into the following Sunday, drying out, of course. And then as we get past that week, you still see it looks like that ridge is pretty dominant. When you have that dominant ridge, sometimes it takes a while for it to break down. But notice this is hinting that we'd be on that northern periphery of the ridge, so that could potentially lead to some northwest flow that could bring that potential for some showers and storms. Well, as we continue Air Quality Awareness Week, meteorologist Matt Daniel and I continued the discussion with meteorologist Matt Lakey on the importance of knowing how to stay safe to prepare for unhealthy air quality. Here on Weather Extra, we talk a lot about climate science, and there would be a concern with the climate warming, the impacts on that. Is there any concerns if we continue to see the climate warming above abnormal levels? What could impacts on air quality be?
Yeah, so some impacts could be with the warmer temperatures could actually lead to more ozone production in the summer months. And regarding particulate or fine particle pollution, as we're seeing more and more dry areas and leading to more wildfires, and those are getting larger and larger and producing more and more smoke. And as we've seen, especially in 2023 in the summer, the Canadian wildfires, that smoke can travel very far distance away, and it influenced us for around 3 months.
I almost forgot about that. Yeah, those Canadian wildfires were pretty prolific.
Yeah, and we've seen many years where we've had fires up north, just with this northerly wind, bam, hits the southeast, and we've got some issues for everybody. So what's some tips you can give us when it comes to those really bad days with air quality, even if it's unhealthy for everyone?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that people can do to help our air pollution on those days, and it could be like driving less, so carpooling to school or work, walking or biking if you can. Refueling your vehicle after dusk, because actually the fumes off of gasoline lead to the production of ozone in the atmosphere. So once that sun goes down, you can't have ozone producing more, because you also need the sunlight as well. Other things are refrain from using gas-powered lawn equipment on those days, and conserving energy. So that maybe in some months putting up your thermostat a degree or two actually cuts down the amount of electricity that's produced, which also at power plants releases pollution as well.
Did you hear that, Matt? You need to bump up your AC, make it not as cold in your house.
Calling me out, Lauren.
Yeah, I know. And I like it cold, but when I go to Matt's house, I'm like, good grief. It's like a freezer in here.
We'll have to get ready for bedtime. I like it when it's cold.
Yeah.
So.
I hear you on that.
Yeah, you get it. But that's great advice. Matt, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll be sure to have you back on First Alert Weather Extra, maybe inevitably when air quality is bad again.
Thank you for having me.
All upper grade one WBRC. All right, stay alert for scattered storms this evening. Some of those could be severe.
We'll have more updates on First at 9.